G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. I've been doing a bit of thinking about this design and... well, gonna have to make a few reasonably large changes to it. First off, despite my best efforts, these containers are only very, very slightly lower than the ones on the Butterballs trailer. And it's unlocked for some reason. It still keeps happening whenever I reload. That is annoying. Anyway. And because I haven't really achieved what I set out to do, I figure I may as well just accept that they're going to be high and compress the length of this trailer quite significantly. What I'm thinking of doing is, unfortunately, removing those batteries that I stupidly welded up. Oops. Replacing these conveyor junctions with conveyor tube corner pieces, since it was highlighted to me that I could have done that, and I do prefer avoiding these yellow bits where I can. So removing the batteries, putting them on the sides. I'm going to chance it and assume that I'm not going to need these thrusters, so I'm going to get rid of them. We'll find out if that ends up badly for me, but I'm pretty sure the extra power of these wheels is going to be more than what those thrusters could possibly provide. So I think they're just useless, and that means instead of using them to put more detail into the side, I'm going to use a pair of batteries, which should work out nicely. I'm also going to get rid of this landing pad because I came up with an idea that is goofy but functional for the little salvage drone, and hopefully we will get on to building that today. But that should make this whole trailer a lot smaller and therefore a lot easier to drive around, and even though it will still be as top heavy as the other one, although not quite as top heavy because it's got the grinders and things down low, so there's always going to be a fair bit of mass load, but there will be quite a bit high. I think it's still going to work out pretty nicely. Am I even pushing that at this point? Just the tiniest bit, I think. Let's make that lever even longer. Now I could probably just grab the bin chicken and push this out of the way, but I'm kind of enjoying using a lever to do it. Oh wait, I know what I can do. Let's hop into the control panel. Let's grab our wheels. Let's drop our friction all the way down. Now let's see how easy this is to push. It's a bit better. Still not great. I mean, I'm still pushing a very large thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to have this virtually dead straight if I hope to get the goose attached to it. Its current position is just not going to work. Alright, let's start stripping this thing down so that we can build it back up with the improvements that I've got planned. Oh no, enemies incoming fast. Fast. Get my rifle. Oh man, they're already here. Come on. Gotta get upstairs. In case of emergency, do not use elevator. Yeah. Could be interesting if I ever was stuck in this thing and power went out. But I don't have stairs, so I'm stuck with using the elevator. What's going on out here? Whoa! Okay. That was a thing. I have no idea what that was. There's another stinging adversary 6.3 Ks out. At least they're stinging adversaries. Not those drifting pursuants. Alright, seems like the turrets have it covered. Although, once it gets daytime, I am going to need to remember to go and check what the ammo status is of those sandbags up on the hill. They do seem to be firing, but They must be getting low by now. And back to the grind. Alrighty. That's much better. Now we don't have all of that extra stuff that we really did not need. Except I did waste batteries, but, you know, that'll happen. That'll happen. I now need some large containers. I need a conveyor frame, and I've got the other bit that I need. So, down here, which I'm glad it was pointed out to me, I don't have to have a conveyor junction, and this is where I put the conveyor tube like so. Same on this side, which will mean that I won't feel like I have to put armor around that. It'll be a delicate area that's exposed, but hopefully I won't be hitting that against the ground. Hopefully. Next up, what I'm going to do to allow for more turrets to be placed, I'm going to put a conveyor frame in here and another one on here, but then with the cargo containers, I'm going to make it so that the 3 large ports are on each front and back and also facing up, because then I can just put a turret directly on top of it, which is really cool. And it'll mean that this thing will have 4 turrets on it, which is pretty much the most I'm realistically going to be able to put on it. I could, and I was slightly tempted, but I think it'll look ridiculous and it'll end up being huge. I could have put a rotor on here, or an advanced rotor, and then put a large grid turret on here, which would give me some nice range, but I don't think this trailer's really going to be able to cope with that. So those are going to be the containers. I wanted to add the frames in so that when I put the turrets on this cargo container, I've got a bit of a gap before the connector, so I don't constantly run into the turrets whenever I whenever I lock onto that connector. And the extra gap between the cargo containers is going to allow for some more armor shaping than what I had with our previous setup. What I've done now is I've actually placed a couple of pistons at the back here. I've got some new batteries on, and I place them like that because these batteries have that little Y-shaped part in them. I thought it'd look nice if they kind of went into each other and pointed into these inset parts front and back of them. But these pistons are here because I want to take these wheels off and actually lower them. So I want them to be 1 block lower than they are, to give myself that extra clearance over the back of the Goose. So since these cargo containers are going to sit directly over the wheels of the Goose, I need to create the level of clearance that I've got here, which I hadn't done with the position of these cargo containers relative to these wheels. So I need to drop the wheels down a whole block in order to create that clearance. There we go. Get rid of this bit in between since it's going to look funny. Alright, now that we are mostly back where we started the episode, having moved a bunch of things and set this up in what I think is going to be a much better way, we can get started on the stuff that I wanted to do this episode. First off, I want to get our rotor in for our lid that's going to keep at least some of the bits inside this grinder pit. Now, I did test whether the lid would be ground away by the grinders if it's sitting directly on it, and yes, it will be. So, what I think we might do is maybe lift it up 1 block and see how that goes. Just had a better idea than lifting it up, potentially. Let's try this. What I wanted to do with this rotor door was put the rotor in the center, since I do just want to have 1 rotor for this door. Then we can grab our blast doors. We'll pop a little blast door corner in behind the rotor just for looks. Now this is the interesting bit. Because these grinders have a slightly smaller collision box, just like the timers do, like on the silo, we can actually get away with having the blast door edges directly against it, which is something that we couldn't do if we were against these armor blocks. You might be surprised by that, but unfortunately, the collision box for these blast door edges on small grid is actually square, not round. So you end up with a situation where the non-rounded blast door won't actually roll on a flat surface of armor blocks like the large ones can, which is kind of annoying. The blast doors still work for lots of other purposes, but for this specific one where we've got it up against it and it's going to be rolling along it, that corner of the square collision box always gets caught and stops us from using this. Whoa, that sounded very close. Oh, I hope it's okay up there. I hope everything's okay. I wish I had steel plate. So what I'm going to try with this door is something like this. I'm going to see if we can get away with having these half blocks all around here and just use blast door edges to kind of create a closure for this door. And let's just go along this edge so that I can try and make this make a little bit more sense. This will create that extra block of gap, which I believe is all I need based on what I tried out, in order to prevent these getting ground down by the grinders. Go with another half block edge down here. I'm also going to turn share inertia tensor on so that this remains quite rigid. Because we've got quite small margins for error in terms of the gaps that this can actually fit in, I do need it to remain pretty much exactly where I want it. It can't really afford any wobble. Whoops. I'm interested to see how it's going to look with this sort of style on it. The other option would be to just control the rotor limits and have the door only just close high enough that it doesn't get ground down. But I thought I'd do something different. Now, since the rotor is dead center, we do not want any displacement on it. This bit around the rotor itself is going to be tricky. We can't actually have stuff right next to the rotor, as it will stop it from turning. But if we leave a gap like that, we should be okay. For this sort of door, you could definitely do the whole... You could probably try and do the whole thing without using any blast doors, but because I need to use the blast doors down here by the rotor, I figured it was probably going to look best if we continued that around the entire lid. One of the nice things about building this lid out of the half slabs is if it ends up looking pretty flat and dull, I could easily add in some extra bracing pieces, so some extra thick parts using full cubes that run the length of it, which is probably something I'll do. First, let's test to make sure this thing actually works. And if we hop into our rotor, we can crank its torque way up, which is probably going to be necessary. Then let's turn on our grinders and see if this thing gets eaten. Okay, grinders on. Make sure I don't get eaten by the grinders. And closed. And no grinder eating. Although, closed is a relative term. Oh. Doesn't really close the whole way. Why is that? Alright, with those side blast doors removed, will it get down to that closed position that I wanted it to go to? Yes, looks like it will. Okay. We might be able to work with that. What if instead of having the side bits, we go with these? But, oh, we can't have them that way, it'll have to be this way. I wonder what would happen if we did these all the way along and did them on this distant edge as well. just had the blast doors at the closer side. Whether that'll keep it far enough out of the way of the grinders. Oh, hydrogen is 12. Hydrogen is 12. Good. Alright, let's turn on our grinders and see if we lose the lid. Yes! Okay. I think this might be I think this might be what we go for. Oh, more gunfire, more gunfire. Oh, that's a drifting pursuant. Ow. Let's see if we can get control of a turret. Oh yeah! Join in the fight. Haha. Oh, reloading. Come on. I think it's going down. Oh yeah. Jeez, look at all the debris out here. Wow. They've been making a mess of things. I've definitely got to get ready to take the fight to that base. Oh, incoming. Maybe I'll wait for this one. Since it is dawn, it's kind of a cool time for me to be firing because we'll actually be able to see what's going on. Well, it'll be interesting to see if those sandbags up on the hill are shooting. Holy moly, it comes in quick. I had been having things cushy before. Oh, it's shooting. No, it got some solar panels. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no! I am inside it! Alright, we've got to cut through this thing so that it gets off us. There we go. Oh man! It's massacred the solar panel! I guess I'm not as good a gunner as the AI. I probably should have just let it take control. That might have been a mistake. That might be something we need to fix soon. More sandbags and more solar panels. Oh dear. We will get to that in a little bit. One of the reasons I'm not super worried about the power situation is that I've actually got huge amounts of battery right now, and I just want to get this build finished. As soon as I get this build finished, I will be fixing up those solar panels. Don't worry. I've got heaps of solar panels in storage, so we've got plenty to get it repaired. I should be able to put half slabs all the way around the edge, which will, I think, look a bit nicer than just having this sharp edge on it. It's a pity I can't do anything about this corner in here, but oh well, we have to live with that. But I think if we put these around here, even though it's going to make this door a bit heavier, I think it'll make it look a little bit nicer. Just have a bit of detail underneath. I was thinking of putting the slope bits in, but then I wasn't sure what I could do with the corner pieces up here, since I'd only be able to have it on one side and not both. So I thought if I did this, then I can put some extra bits, extra slopes that join in, sort of making a bracing pattern, which I'll do in just a moment once I've welded these up. So what I was thinking was something like this. I can go there, I can go there. That one that's missing up here I can't actually put until I lower this thing down a little bit because it's intersecting with these blocks in the ceiling. I might just leave it like that. Cool. This is a door design I have never done anything like before, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it's turned out. So let's drop it down a bit so I can get that last block that we're missing. Because I know me, I will forget it if I don't do it now. What I'm going to do around the edges here, since I've created this funny bit at the corner, in order to get that inset there, I think I might just put some half blocks around. Use the half block slope on the corner there. And set this up to kind of look like a bit of a bumper slash reinforcement around the outside here. The other convenient side effect of that is it stops this from being a nice flat surface. I think it might look alright. And remember, this is all going to get painted, so there'll be more variety than there is right now. I just always like to work in a single shade when I'm building, since it tends to encourage more depth in shape. No, 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 no. Did not mean to place that there. Oh, almost caught us bad, Clang then. Alright, time for some more detail work again. I think it'll look nice if we add some slopes coming up to the batteries on each side like this. Continue this as a whole block. Maybe not as a whole block. Maybe we do this as a... Yeah, maybe we do this. Oops. I appear to be creating many a Clang block this time. That was not good. Let's get rid of that block. Pop in some 2x1x1 slopes. Wonder if... Yeah, that's probably going to be too much yellow. I was thinking maybe some yellow in one of these external stripes, but that's probably going to be a bit much. A bit more than we're after. Well, maybe it won't be, since we've got those yellow batteries. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. No yellow there. We'll need to figure out something else to put here, I think. I just didn't want the batteries to have their surface directly into the grinder pit. There is always that possibility that a chunk of debris will end up hitting the batteries, and I'd rather them not be damaged. I'm okay with a little bit of damage to some light armor, but to the batteries that will be annoying. I think that looks a bit weird having the half slabs go straight to this, but rather than getting rid of the half slabs the whole way through, which I do kind of like, I'm just going to put one of these in here to make the transition a bit less dramatic to the cross braces. I think that'll be enough. Yeah. And now to take advantage of the conveyor frames. They're going to allow me to do a little bit of armor through the middle here. I think if we do maybe... not the whole way around. Let's just try that much for now, and we'll see if that's going to be enough. If not, we can armor the whole way around, which I think will look okay as well. But I kind of like having the opportunity to paint this armor a different color to what we paint the conveyor frame. Because we could go with these conveyor frames being that rubber style like we've done over here, so the same dark grey. Or we could go something completely different, who knows? Alright, let's place these Gatling guns before I do any more. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll go with 1 on top of each of the cargo containers. Now, I'm going to do some silly things with our conveyor tubes around these. And I'm going to use these small conveyor tubes a little bit like I use the pipes from Ikesta's decoration pack. Often using them more for decoration than for function, because we've already got these Gatling turrets hooked up to the conveyor system. We don't need these pipes. But I think it'll look cool, particularly if we make these pipes a different color to the cargo containers and to the Gatling turrets, so they kind of stick out a bit. And we can do some convoluted piping elsewhere on the design as well. Before I do the convoluted piping that I want to do around here, I'm going to place the armor cladding that's going to be here, and I'll do the... and I'll make the pipes kind of work around that. Now, I think I'm safe to do this. We'll find out. I'll place these down and then see if the door can still open. I suspect it probably can't, actually. I think that spot will need to stay clear. Let's open it up and see. Yeah, I think I'm pushing my luck to try and utilize that square. So we'll keep it clear and then go to here. Not sure about this. Don't like that these two both have their curves at the same point. Their slopes. Maybe we'll put it back here. Then, instead of having this there, let's go with that. And then I'll put some armor blocks there. Then we'll do the same on the other side, I think. That'll give us room to do this, which I feel might be enough armor for here. If I put more down, I think it'll just be unnecessary. I think this will create an interesting pattern from above, which is often what I like. I'm starting to feel like this big maw reminds me of like a whale shark. Or a pelican, actually. It's very much like a pelican's beak. Oh dear. I've just gone and done it. I've called it a bird thing, haven't I? Now that we've got this armor plating done, I think we can play around with some pipes and things here. I think we'll start with just doing something simple for this part, like that. Whoops, did not mean to place that third one. Then what I want to do here is actually bring this bit all the way down to these other parts with a nice little intersection there. And we might go like this. Yeah, something like that. Because unfortunately we can't use Ixter's pipes since they are only large grid. But I think we'll be able to get an interesting design going on here anyway. Might be a bit over the top, but we'll see. If I grab a curve and put one there, run out of space because I'm standing in the way. Do that as a little curve that goes around the base of this as well. I think this could work. I'll probably paint these pipes in orange or in the yellow that's used up elsewhere, like I've done on here. I think that could work. If it ends up being too much yellow, I'll get rid of that little C-shaped bit there that doesn't serve any purpose at all. And probably also get rid of what I'm about to do here. I sort of like the idea of this looking like it's got a whole bunch of pipework and complicated pathing of all of the materials through the vessel, through the trailer, rather than it just being something nice and simple. What I might do is place a few small cargo containers, just like this. The idea of these containers is I should be able to put a couple of backup hydrogen bottles and maybe some ammunition for my rifle in there. So it's kind of a safety device, but also does a nice job of breaking up that last little bit on the back of the trailer. Which is exactly what I was after. The other thing I did think about putting back here, but decided against because I don't really tend to build those things on most of my builds. I had thought that I could put a wheel back here, just a straight up wheel, not a wheel on suspension, but like a spare tire sort of thing. I don't think it'll work so well with the rest of this build. I think they're kind of just too large. Like if you look at the size of those wheels, we'd need to be putting a 5x5 up there, and it's quite big. And it's probably just a bit too big. The reason I want this one to be shaped a bit differently is once I design the little carrier vehicle, I'm going to have it lock on to a little platform attached here. And I want to have enough space between these containers and the back of the Goose's tractor that it can fit there. Not a full-on landing platform, just a little parking attachment, somewhere big enough for the landing gear to just grab onto. It's probably entirely possible to lock on to the top of the lid, but to me that seems terrifying. The idea of doing that. Because it's then a landing gear attached to a thing, attached to a rotor, attached to a thing, attached to wheels, attached to more rotors, attached to the thing that's actually driving the whole contraption. That can't end well. Even with my luck with Clang, that can't end well. Hooray! There we go. Pretty happy with that. I haven't quite decided where I need to put the attachment point here. I want to attach the Goose and then build the little carrier ship. And as soon as I can get it into a position where I think it'll be safe from hitting anything, then I'll attach the little landing pad where I need it. So let's grab the Goose. Now, Izzy's made some upgrades to his refueler script, but I'm going to disconnect first, then I'm going to update it. Recharge? Yeah, there we go. So what do I call them? Trailer jack rotors and trailer jack pistons, because if I keep these group names right, this will make it very easy to keep these controls set up the same way between each. So trailer jack rotors. There we go. All painted up. Reasonably happy with how it's turned out. I'm sure there's a few bits I'll still fine-tune and as I start using it, but generally speaking, I think this has turned out pretty well. I don't have any complaints. May need to do some detail on the top of this lid since it is pretty dull and flat. But it's functional. I added some buttons back here. This button controls the lid, so we can just press it and it'll activate it and close it. And then this other button activates the grinders. And now it's time to build a little vehicle that is going to take a lot of inspiration from the Ugly Duckling. So when I say inspiration from the Ugly Duckling, what I mean is cockpit like that. Then we need a medium cargo container, which we're going to arrange like so. On top of the medium cargo container will go our curved conveyor tube. In front of that, we're going to put a grinder. So it's going to be a snorkel grinder, basically. Then the bit that sort of is the inspiration from the Ugly Duckling is the fact that this cargo container is arranged vertically, which means we can easily put a connector underneath it to drop our goodies off into the trailer. Like that. Nice and simple. Then I'll pair a couple of landing gear at the front so that we can lock onto the trailer with those rather than connecting to the connector on top. This could get fairly heavy, so let's do 3 atmospheric thrusters there, another 3 here. Battery on the back. Let's go that way. And then on top of the battery we can put a thruster that way, thruster that way, pair of reverse thrusters here, pair of forward thrusters above the lifting ones. No, can't do that. Maybe I'll drop these ones down a bit. Give myself the room to actually place those thrusters how I wanted. So I can put one there and then we can go lifting thrusters beneath it. So that's all our thrust directions that we need. Then we are going to also require a gyroscope. Let's pop one there. We will need at least one programmable block. There. We will probably end up putting another one in the front here, but I want to see what I'm going to do with those landing gear first. I'm going to need an antenna because we want to be able to control. The reason we need that programmable block, at least one of them, is we're going to need to be able to control this trailer remotely, which reminds me I'm going to need to add an antenna specifically. No. I will need to add a programmable block to it, but I don't need an antenna. Because it'll use the goose's antenna. Let's sort of give this a landing gear moustache. I think it almost looks like. Oh, actually, we totally could do that. If I go with a half slope there and there. Slab, slab, slab. If I make that all grey, that's... Oh, maybe not. Hang on. If I just go like this. There we go. It's got a really dodgy moustache. Oh, that looks terrible. I'm going to leave it there for the time being, though. Just because it's so ridiculous that I love it. Did a little bit of rearranging. I've moved the programmable blocks up the front here, so we've got two up there. And then I put a timer block at the back here, which will be our one for charging this up. And now, we can move this into position so we can see how we're going to build this landing zone. So I think... we go for something at about this sort of height, it'll be well and truly clear of the goose. So I can probably go one row. Oh, maybe I can even go further down. Put it here. Oh no, if we go over a bit of a bump, that'll be a problem. So one row down from where the yellow is should give us plenty of clearance. And I can just lock there. Which is a weird spot to park, but, you know, it'll work, I think. And this one is simple, it's just the rotor. With reverse. So let's copy that. Let's check to see if we can control stuff from the snork. Let's disconnect. What else have I destroyed? I destroyed the sideways thrusters! Grrr. I swear that wasn't just entirely my stupidity. I was... so annoying. Okay. So what I thought was happening then was I was pushing up against something that didn't want to give, and I thought I was stuck on the magnetic of the connector, stuck on the connector magnet, but I think for some reason I just pressed the controls at the wrong time. I think I must have been just about... I must have pressed it during a pause or something, and so that ended badly. Aha! We have our lid controls. Now we can also put the grinders. Why? Why did I see grinding? Should not have seen grinding. There are no subgrids there. Unless I did leave some little blocks inside. Did I? Oh, it's grinding away some of the lid. Dang it. Oh, we should probably just let it grind away whatever it wants to and see how much is left. Yeah, doesn't want to do it anymore. Oh well. We have control. That is what I wanted. This is like budget landing pad. The tiniest little landing pad. The bare minimum that we can get away with. Alright, that should work. I think that'll be a nice little perch for the little snork. By the way, if you guys have better names for these things, let me know. But I really do think this looks far too much like a pelican to ignore it and not call it that. Even though the trailers don't really have names for the goose. They're just various trailers with various purposes. Alright, is it daylight outside? Aha, it is! Alright. Don't need much battery power. Hopefully this thing's got enough to get at least one little... See this? Here we go. It took forever for the thruster to turn on. That's why everything went funny. What I think I did was, because there was that little delay before the thrusters went on, I kind of mashed the spacebar. And that ended up with me flying into the roof. Sweet. That looks so weird. But it totally works. And it does bring it down a little bit lower than if I'd stuck it on the back here or left it attached to the connector. Alright, let's do this thing. Whoa, 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 doors. Yeesh. I'm not going to go all the way to the base today. I'm going to save that till next time. What I am going to do, though, is just bring it out here. The main reason I'm not going to the base is I would want to have the little snork have its full charge before I drive all the way there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to load up a small piece of debris into the trailer and see how we go. So there are plenty of small pieces of debris here. Drop. Close. And I could probably start grinding while it's open. Oh, maybe not. It's bouncing a bit. There we go. Ready for the next load. Sort of. Seems like it can get some little bits stuck, which may get annoying, but I'm not expecting to use it to collect most of this debris. Just going to use it for little bits here and there. And I totally could have made this thing a drone. The reason I didn't is exactly what you're seeing now. I would expect I would fly it quite often in third person. So it makes it a lot easier to do that, or it makes it possible to do that, if we stick with the cockpit instead. And that was my reasoning behind that. So the idea of this grinder pit is mainly for these small chunks. In theory, I would be using the grinder on the snork to take away the larger blocks. In practice though, what I might try and do is kind of cut off chunks. So a chunk of 3 or so large grid blocks and then drop them in. As a single small grid grinder is not particularly efficient. There we go. Look at that. Portable grinder pit with chunks flying through it. I knew that would happen, but oh well. Then the other use for the snork is chopping these bits up into small enough pieces. Though I may have unfortunately made it incredibly difficult for it to do that because I can't really get down to the ground with that grinder. Huh. We may do some upgrades to this little thing in the future to try and make it work a little bit better, as it is certainly quite lacking. I'm actually just going to leave the goose right there, rather than having to drive it back inside, although I'm going to have to manually... No, I'm not. Transmit. Of course, forgot the timer block bit. Base, TB, hangar. So we'll go pop this on the charger. So for next time, we have a few little tasks that are important that need to get sorted out first, before we go driving away. One is repair these solar panels. 2 is check what the ammunition status of these sandbags is, since I want to make sure that they're still fighting for us. And they are empty. That is bad. Okay. So, rearming these. And arming the Goose's new trailer, since it's got 4 turrets and it's got no ammunition. Those are the big important tasks. And then we're going to see just how far we can go with this thing and whether we can actually get it all the way to the enemy base. And you know what? I think we can. And I think we might be able to do it almost without using the front thrusters. So there's that. And plenty more to come. So I'll see you then.